Hi there. Thanks for coming to the studio today. Today's project is going to be a trash to treasure project. And this is actually something that I found at a thrift store. And it apparently at one time had other parts to it because it has holes in it. But I'm just going to use this piece. And what it is it's a jewelry box. And it was very well taken care of. The inside is perfectly clean. And so what I'm going to do is just do artwork on the top part to turn this into something completely different. And I've gone ahead and sanded lightly around the edges to begin my distressing. I'm only going to actually decorate the top. The drawer is in perfect condition, so I just want to make it look something artful that you can leave sitting out or give as a beautiful gift. So that's what we're going to do today, trash to treasure, so let's get started. Okay, supplies. Paper, the papers that you're going to use for your box. Color wash or distress ink, or maybe an ochre color ink pad that you can give it some little antiquing look. PVA glue is what I'm going to use because this stuff sticks so well. Once something's down, it's there. And also I'm going to use these craft glue brushes. They're inexpensive. I think this whole pack was like $1.50 and there was 4 in it, and they're disposable. And you don't want to use a sponge with the PVA because it is heavy, so it'll start to drag after a while and it's really a waste of time. And so I like to use this with the PVA. And then you might want to use your foam tool for getting color around the edges in the end, or however you want to do that. And so that's basically all you need to do this project. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding my paper and using the PVA glue that I told you about. And if you remember, as I told you, this stuff dries really fast. I'm actually doing this sideways because I tried all the angles and I thought this would give you a better idea of what's going on here. Okay, so I'm starting. Now, in this particular box, it has like a whale thing in the middle. And normally I would be trying to fill that up because that's what I do. But I don't feel like doing that. I just want to cover the top of this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some PVA glue, and I'm working fast here. So I'm just going to pour it right in there. Right in there. And on the edge. And I can feel it getting thick as I work. And I'm just going to start adding my paper. So maybe I'll actually put this just to give that a little leverage. And the other thing is you don't want to try to tear the paper perfectly and line it up. That's not going to work. So this is a collage. So that's how we're working it, as a collage. And remember, only use a little. You don't want to be wasting it because it's definitely not cheap. But you just, want to get it on there so you can get that paper stuck on there fast. And you kind of definitely want to know where you want that paper to go, because once it's down, it's kind of down. And so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to continue and tear pieces of paper and stick them on. And then once I'm done with that, I'll come back. Okay, so I've papered it up. And I'm going to give it about a good 15 more minutes to set up. So I'm going to take a break and just leave it alone for about 15 more minutes. As you can see, I did go over the edges. That's okay because I want to trim that when it's all over. And I just can't wait till we finish this, baby. You're not going to believe it. And the other thing I forgot to tell you is about these brushes. Like I said, they are disposable, but also when you're using this PVA, it tends to drag the hairs out of these brushes, or the bristles, whatever they're called. So you got to watch for that in your project, and unless it blends in, you really kind of got to watch for that, because if you're using something light like the mulberry paper that I used here or something, of course it will show up. So be right back. Okay, so now what we have is we have the dried box that I've trimmed. And I've also gone around the edge with a distress pad. First I used a little ochre, and then I went with the distress pad. But obviously you can use any color you want. I've used different papers here of different textures, handmade papers and old vintage papers, and the real paper actually gives it such a nicer look than making copies in this instant. So now on to the next step, which is the diamond glaze and the gold dust. Okay, so for my next move, I am just going to pour some diamond glaze on the top of the surface, and then I'm going to sponge it with the foam brush because I don't want streak lines to show when the light hits this box, which it will. So I'm actually going to just pour. I've done this so many times, I pretty much, know how much to do, but you might want to do a little at a time. And the secret to keeping this from clogging is to push it just lightly until the air comes out. And that way it won't get hard or clog up in there. And then I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to lightly push this down to get the texture going. And I'm going to go around it because it's on paper. Diamond glaze does dry really fast on the paper. So that's why I'm working so fast, because I don't want it to have any muddled up or puddled up or spots that don't look right. So I got that going really good. You definitely want to go around the edges to make sure that you've got all your paper sealed. And I'm going to hurry up here and then wipe around the edges too. And I have to tell you that the reason I make sure to take the drawers out now is because I have had accidents before. You can put a picture frame there. Throw some ephemera in there, however you want to do it. So I'm just patting that up just a little bit. Okay, now I am going to take my gold dust. Oops. And you got to be careful with this stuff. It does fly everywhere. I put my hand up like this. For one thing, I have the fan on, and I really don't want to turn it off because I got so much product going over here. And then I'm just going to lightly tap this around and let it fall where it may. A simple wipe up with the paper towel will get this stuff up off your desk or wherever it lands, the vacuum, whatever you use to clean up. And I think that's pretty good. And I'm going to let that sit and dry for a minute. And then we'll be at the ending phases. You're really going to like this. And here it is, the finished box. Isn't that a beauty? Look at the gold flakes on top. I've added a couple of extra special touches, the key and the flower. And this is simply a beautiful piece of mulberry paper that I just topped with a piece of transparency. And then I put a die cut around the outside of it that I actually made on my Cricut machine. But you can buy these things made up at the store and a little brass key. And as you can see over here, here's the gold flake in the top that I have sealed with diamond glaze. And this is a piece of measuring tape that I simply cut off. And then I added a ribbon loop at the end. And it makes it perfect for slipping through and adding your own lock. Now, I'm actually going to sell this box on my website, so the lock will come with it, and the lock will be this little red heart. But you can, of course, just buy a regular lock if you don't like this one. If you actually do want the box to lock in a different manner, you can add a different type of lock to it, or whatever you want to do with it. But this is the finished product. So what do you think? You think that's Rags to riches, baby.